Three, two, one, go.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Triad of the Force podcast, a podcast from three Puerto Rican friends coming together to do deep dives into Star Wars and other nerd related media. And now, as part of our Mando Mondays, this is our reaction and analysis of episode 10, chapter 10, The Passenger. So, Goose, you were on the Geeky Waffles
I
reaction
was on
yesterday.
the Geeky Waffles reaction. It was a fun time. We joined a couple of cool new friends. Maggie, Brian from Pink Milk, Alberto from Radio Rebellion, Connor, a bunch of cool people. It was definitely an interesting chat considering what happened yesterday in the country. Everyone was in a particularly good mood. Everyone was having celebratory libations, so that helped everybody be in have their tongues a little looser, so that the conversation could flow easier. So it was definitely a really good time. And I think we took some good points about last Friday's episode of Mando, and some very interesting uh, shipping theories between a lot of characters that I never thought would be shipping in the Star Wars universe, and some also interesting things that Baby Yoda has been up to that I wasn't familiar with. But it was a good time. Everyone should definitely go and check it out, either on Geeky Waffles Twitter, or you can go to our Twitter. I put the link down there, or just go to YouTube and look the Geeky Waffles YouTube channel and check it out.
So,
And
basically, new perspectives.
lots of new perspectives, definitely. And Nani, you're gonna be there in 2 weeks, I
Yeah,
believe.
I'm gonna be there on the 21st, so look
And
forward to it.
and then Mo's gonna close it off, the best for last.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mo, come on, confidence.
Humbleness prevails.
Yeah. Well, anyway, as you already said, yesterday was a historic day for the United States, and we would like to give a shout out to those people that watched, our episode for political intrigues and went and voted and made a change. I mean, aside from the fact that yay, Trump is gone. There was a historic turnout of voters, which makes it that much more momentous because people went out and said that they wanted democracy to continue. And regardless of the tantrum that the current president is throwing, it was it was legal, and it's momentous actually. So
We have to definitely thank your brother, since he is one of the people that helped
in
help
Philadelphia,
push it back for Biden there in Philly. So
Mhm.
kudos to him. It was his vote, the one that
His
turned.
vote.
His
Well, I
specific
mean,
one.
we were giving him crap the whole few days before Pennsylvania turned
This is
blue.
your fault.
You should have done more.
Eh,
Yeah.
it was good. Now we have to. I mean, I want to thank particularly the people that saw our episode that don't want to listen to us anymore. It's like, hey, it's fine. Just go back into your cave.
Yeah, it's
We don't
okay.
need you. It's fine.
Oh, words have been thrown.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
I
as long
mean,
as,
it's
as long as they reflect. And
Yeah.
reflect,
learn, yeah.
reflect. It was
Yeah.
it was an intense week for everybody.
Mm.
So I think with good results. So I am very proud of the United States,
Yes.
today.
I'm glad I don't have to watch the news now
I
24/7
know
anymore.
all the time. Oh my god, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I don't think I've watched that much CNN
No.
in my
So-
life.
oh my
Probably.
Which makes me think, how can some of the older generations just be watching Fox News all the fucking time? Just
don't
I was
know.
watching news for a couple of days straight, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm done. I can't. I'm overloaded. Like, I can't imagine just doing that all the time every day. Jesus Christ. No, thank you. But it was good though, because we had like an exhausting week of tension going, with the election. But then it was capped off Friday with a new episode of The Mandalorian, and then a sherry on top on
Yeah,
Saturday
on
with
Saturday.
election results. So I don't know if we wanted to talk about anything else, but if we're ready, we can begin like our discussion of Chapter 10, The Passenger.
Yes.
Passenger. Who was the real passenger?
They're both passenger. I think that's what I want to actually see your guys' opinion because when I saw the episode, like I really enjoyed it. Obviously, it wasn't as epic and grandiose and action packed, right, as Chapter 9 with
Yeah.
obviously with Cop Band, Boba Fett, the Crate Dragon. But that doesn't mean that there wasn't substance. And I saw a lot of the people on Twitter being kind of salty with the episode, being like, "Oh, nothing happened. This isn't pushing the story forward," or "This was a filler episode." And I'm like, "Well, I mean, this is a what is filler? Oh, it's a side quest." No, I mean, everything in Star Wars in Mandalorian serves a purpose, and like obviously this episode isn't done. It's part of a 2 episode arc, it seems. So like it's going somewhere. There's gonna be a payoff, and like the more important thing about this episode wasn't what necessarily was happening, but what it was discussing. So I want to hear what you guys thought when you first watched the episode.
Nani, you go.
Okay. Okay. So I confess I was one of those people that thought that it really was like a filler episode and it wasn't really moving the story forward that much. Not necessarily because it wasn't as grandiose or anything. I'm fine with like the mellow episodes and looking deep into them. It's like what you said. I was kind of expecting it to follow in the same vein as season 1 and continue with like episodes that are, completely episodic and like whole onto themselves. Even though there's a greater story arc going around, they were still like whole onto themselves. Like this episode as it is right now doesn't work by itself.
Mhm.
So, which is fine. Every season doesn't have to mimic the one before. If you want to do arcs, I'm a fan of arcs too. So, it's not a problem. And then actually after watching, I didn't watch the entire episode. Sorry, it was too long.
You were
It was-
studying. You were studying.
and I was studying. But I did watch the beginning of it when they started, everybody giving their opinions on the episode, and my opinion was actually changed about the importance. I know. That's what
Pink Milk,
discussion is
Brian,
for.
and I.
Yeah, I know. You guys nailed a lot of really good points. And one of the things that I did very much enjoy about the episode that I'm not sure if you guys mentioned, there was a lot obviously about, Mandalorian quest to becoming a parent.
Mhm.
But one of the things that I really enjoyed is the fact that the frog lady recognized him as a
Mhm.
father because
Mhm.
she saved Baby Yoda when there was the shootout. She
Yeah.
saved Baby Yoda, like recognizing that this is a child and parent relationship, and she saved him for her. I don't know if she knew that he was eating her eggs or not, and then maybe she would have made a different decision.
Yeah.
But at the time, she, as a mother, recognized that the Mandalorian is a father as well.
Mm.
And that was something that I really enjoyed about the episode. But at the time, it was the only thing that I saw, move the story forward. But
Mm.
now I'm thinking differently. And I say, let's just wait and see what the entire season has to offer before we judge too harshly.
Of
So,
course, yeah.
Those are my 2 cents.
I think I really enjoyed the episode in the sense that it touches on one of the themes that I really enjoy, which is how do you pass information or message when there's a complete lack of communication.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like since the beginning of the episode, all pretty much I think, except I really forget her name, but the mechanic.
Yeah, I
I
always
think
forget her name.
everybody Mando deals with, they don't speak English or whatever common tongue it is.
Yeah.
It's like that story of like Babylon. Like how can you go
Yeah.
past
Words.
the words and be able to construct something, or vice versa?
Mhm.
If it's the lack of words, does that mean is it just your destruction of the tower? So I like that's what I really enjoyed about the uh, episode. It did brought a lot of like sort of like moral dilemmas,
Mhm.
also like subtle, especially just like with Baby Yoda, and like in a sense, I'm like, what are the boundaries? I thought it was a very thoughtful episode. It reminded me a lot of like Lord of the Rings and
Yeah.
and a little bit of like Aliens at some point.
Yeah, with
Absolutely.
the spiders and all
Absolutely.
the eggs. Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw them on the ground, I was like, does not bode well. There is
Yeah.
something evil in there.
I was like, just burn them. Like, but
Okay, well,
interesting.
he
Don't
does.
go
He does
near
burn
it.
them. Yeah.
I think are those the same spiders that came out in Rebels?
Some people say they are. I don't. We discussed this yesterday with Geeky Waffle. I think the conclusion is that they are not the exact same, but they're like related.
Yeah.
I think that was.
They-
They're both inspired by the same artwork from Ralph McQuarrie.
Okay.
So that's as much as I'm willing to say about that,
Divulge.
since I'm not. Well, not that close. I don't know. But say about the saga since I'm not sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, they
But
kind of look.
to your point, Mo, about language, that's something I was going to mention too, because I think this season, more so than last season, has been really. It's a good observation because I also noticed it too. It kind of subverts how Star Wars has used language, because Star Wars obviously has always had different species that speak different languages, but it's never acknowledged by any protagonist. It's kind of
Yeah.
always done in the way of like, oh well, I understand you and you understand me, so I don't have to make an effort to speak your language. And this season in particular has done that effort of showing people speak someone else's language and try to bridge that gap of communication, be it with the Tusken Raiders and the sign language and the spoken word, or like with Frog Lady having to bypass the
Yeah,
the
that was
droid
really
and
cool, by the
repurpose
way.
it and whatnot. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I think language has been really crucial to this season, and like
Yeah.
really frames smartly. It's used smartly in how it shows like the differences between like all these species and how we relate to each other, which I think is really clever.
I mean, it was
Which-
touched on the original ones a little bit because you remember, especially at the beginning, like Harrison Ford could understand Chewbacca. Like Han could understand Chewbacca from the beginning, and Luke is like, "You understand this piece of rug?" And it's like, "Oh my God, don't insult him. He'll rip your arms off." And obviously, eventually, he learns, Chewbacca's language as well, the Wookiee language. But it's obviously a lot more prevalent now, which is important. I think it's also cool that it's not just about language; it's about different cultures of the different alien species.
And it's
not
also
just-
respect too, right? Because
Yeah.
like it's kind of disrespectful in a way to like not speak the other's language, and here they make a point to like when you talk
Yeah.
to the other, you speak in their language.
Yeah, and
I
it
think it's
has,
a good
it
frame.
has been impressive that up to this point, Mando can speak almost all of them, and then Frog Lady, it's like even
Yeah.
somebody who knows all these languages can encounter somebody that lady, I can't, I have no idea what you're saying.
Well, but I think it's definitely a conscious decision to make him not understand her, because
I know.
because she's the right, her role of the mother of of her children, the eggs, right?
Yeah.
And he's the father, and he still doesn't understand the language of parenthood,
Yeah,
and that's why he doesn't understand her language. It's
Yeah.
it's a metaphor. It's right there. It's genius. That's why I
know,
really
and it-
like the
yeah.
episode.
yeah. The more we talk about it, honestly, the more I keep liking the episode. So
And
And-
it has a lot of like very like subliminal like nuggets in there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The more we talk about it, yeah.
no, and I
Because,
kind of
like-
cut you off before. What were you gonna say, Mo?
Oh, I was just gonna say, kind of like it's in a good way. It shows that whatever story Favreau and Filoni and everybody wants to make is very grounded in our reality right now.
Yeah.
Because that's what we lack. We lack. We're lacking like how to communicate. In our case, it might not even be different languages, but it's different cultures, different approaches, different. So whatever story is happening or seems to be brewing, it's very grounded in what's happening.
Yeah. And
Which is what Star Wars has been a lot about. It always reflects the times in a way.
Another thing that I really like in the episodes also the framing genre that it used to push the episode forward, which was kind of like a horror movie type of environment that we haven't really seen in Star Wars. That I'm totally for, because it kind of shows that Star Wars can be flexible and like not just be like this, the space opera thing that it's always been, but like it's kind of like doing the same thing, right? That Marvel has been doing now. That's just not just an action adventure comic book films, but like with Winter Soldiers, like the thriller political suspense film, or Guardians of the Galaxy, a space opera. et cetera. It's like changing the genres, and I think this season in particular is starting to do that because the first episode was very, the cowboy western film mixed a little bit with some Arthurian stuff in there, and then this episode was the horror film, horror genre thing. So hopefully they keep that stuff going, where like each episode has like a little element of some other genre mixed into the
Yeah.
into the mix, so that it
Yeah.
makes it that much more fresh, which
No,
I
it
think
was
Star
cool.
Wars desperately needs.
Yeah, I know, because sometimes everything is the same.
Rise of Skywalker.
Shut up. No, but I really loved what Mo said about it. Really harkens back. This episode has a lot of the aliens look and feel to it, and with when he finally burns them all down, like my husband's like, yeah, that's how you do it. You just burn them all.
Burn them with fire.
Which is great, and I mean, it calls on to like the spiders are the bad guys, but really, I mean, you invaded their space. Like they were there before you were, so you can't really look at them as the bad guys either. So I mean, there's a lot of themes going around in it, and I know that we love doing deep dives, but can we talk for a second about how beautiful the episode was shot as well?
Oh yeah,
because I mean, at first I was like another trench run, but I think that's one of the most beautifully shot trench runs I've ever seen. And
it looks like a movie. I mean, it's even more than season one.
No,
it's
even more.
amazing.
Even more, I would say that even the sequel trilogies, that one scene, like when the X-Wings come and then things are not working out and you see them expand their wings and it's like, uh-oh, shit's going down.
And they feel like models, so they feel like the X-Wings from the original movies.
Yeah.
It's so good. It feels real.
I know. And then when you see them like through the clouds and everything, it's honestly, I think it's cinematographically one of the most beautiful things Star Wars has done so far.
Absolutely.
And I was just like, wow, how are they pulling this off? And I think there was a mention of that in Geeky Waffle, that, I mean, they spent a lot of money in season one, like making the technology work. Yeah. And now that they understand it better and, going forward with more episodes, like as they understand the limits or, how they can improve on it. I mean, if this is episode 2 of season 2, and it already looks like some of the best things that Star Wars has ever shot. So I can't even wait. So.
Yeah, and to that point, I think it's really interesting because it's season 2, and from the trailers we saw, basically 80% of the trailers we've already seen in episodes 1 and 2. So it
we
seems
have no
that
idea
the rest,
what to expect.
Yeah, so it seems that the rest of the trailers are next episode, the water planet, and some scenes in Navarro. But like besides that, so that means that like we don't know anything about the latter half of the season,
which is fantastic.
I
hate it when there's too many spoilers, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but I always want a little bit, So once you get that taste.
I hate spoilers. I honestly wouldn't be watching this episode to episode if it wasn't for this. I would have waited to the end, ignored social media, and then binge watched the whole thing in a row.
Oh, but you always ignore social media, so that's not a problem for you.
True.
Smart thing to do.
But circling back to this episode, I think something that I didn't really catch at the beginning, maybe because I'm an idiot, but I caught the second time around. It's just that cold open of Mando and Tatooine is basically framing the latter half of the episode, because it comes into play Mando's honor, right? Because he gives that creature the jetpack, and he gives him his word that he can have the jetpack, and then he's like, oh well, fuck it, and just kills the dude that he just made. I mean,
he said
honor,
he could
honor
have it. He
word
didn't say he could keep it.
Exactly. He's
just like the one episode before when he's like, I won't take your life. Yeah. Didn't mean I'm not gonna let you die.
Exactly. And then it comes into play when Frog Lady in the other part, the second half of the episode, is like, oh, I thought you gave me your word. I thought Mandalorians kept their words. And you see Mando being annoyed by that. So I really liked it that way, because it frames it like, oh, Mando only gives this word conveniently, or like you said, Nani, he'll bend it to his will and like not really care about it. And like Frog Lady's like, hey, bro, you're a parent. And words mean things, especially like if you're so adamant about your creed. So having like those two perspectives, especially like in the hot and the cold. So again, it's like the two parallels of like what Mando's going through. It just gave an extra layer. It's like Shrek says, like an onion. It's got layers. It's perfect.
No, but I mean, the way he's acting kind of reminds me of how, in lore, usually how the elves are. Elves are supposed to not be able to lie. but they're known to be massive liars because they twist the truth even more than people that can lie. So
Hey,
I
you gotta
mean,
find a way.
but usually in lore, it doesn't happen all the time, but in most fantasy books, like the elves take advantage of it. They take advantage of other people because they think that they can't lie, so they do it in like a malicious way. Do we think Mando is being necessarily malicious, or is he just taking a little liberties? Like, how do we judge him morally then?
He's selfish because he still hasn't learned to be selfless. That's his process as a parent right now. At least that's how I understand it.
Like, well, I think both episodes have been really adamant in showing that Mando only reacts to the code. Like, he's still, I mean, I which could be the whole drama. Like, how does somebody that has a code, an external code, survives through and makes things happen? That could be a lesson. I don't know. That's an interesting perspective. But he's always looking out for Baby Yoda, but he's also like, to him it doesn't hurt if it's like, well, if I win the process, then that's a better option. Like,
So do you think he's keeping to the code more to the letter than in spirit?
Exactly. Yeah. Based on what Mo was saying, how I interpret it, like he follows the code, but he doesn't understand the code.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He has that really huge struggle in season 1 where he's almost about to die and he doesn't want to remove his helmet until the cyborg is like, I'm not alive. So you can actually, and he would have died otherwise. I mean,
but that's an interesting. But that's a interesting framing device because that, for him, it's easy to not take off the helmet, but keeping his word. That is tough.
Right, but he's just keeping to the code of it, not to the spirit of it necessarily. I don't think the way would have been like, if you could die or remove it for a moment to be saved. Would the way agree with that? I mean, I don't know. I know I'm not a follower of the way, but I think in many respects he follows it, to the letter instead of in spirit.
That's why I think it'll be important if the rumors are true and Bo-Katan is in the show, and obviously we see that she takes off her helmet in Clone Wars. But it'll be interesting if the rumors are true and she's in the show and he meets Mandalorians that take off their helmets and he's like, wait, what is the code then? What does it mean to be Mandalorian?
Yeah.
Is it the code or is it something else?
Because he's like the offspring, like technically, of the Mandalore people. Like, it's interesting because then what's really a Mandalorian? Was it somebody that was born in Mandalore?
No, it's a way of life because he's a foundling, so he wasn't born of Mandalore.
But it plays into that. Like, does he even feel like looking into? She's just like, I'm gonna follow the code because he has nothing else to hold on to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's fanaticism in a way now because he was indoctrinated, right?
Yeah.
He was a child and was raised in this cult.
Yeah.
And that's
just
what the
like
child.
The Jedi.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly like the Jedi. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's raised under this code, but he doesn't necessarily understand why the code exists. He just follows it, and you can tell that he's following to the letter. I mean, he doesn't keep his word, in the spirit of it.
Yeah.
So, aside from the fact that I do love that scene when he does it with the jetpack, he gives it to him and he like looks at the child and the child's just like, it's like a sucker.
Right.
So,
well, but that's also a thing that kind of ties back to one of the questionable things, and I want to hear your guys' thought on Baby Yoda's behavior on this. But the things that Baby Yoda was doing during this episode, they were like, at first funny, but in second glance, like, whoa, wait,
a little creepy.
It's a little suspect.
Yeah.
And as Baby Yoda's eating of the unfertilized eggs, and it's kind of like, wait, what? Like, I hope that there's some symbolism or some narrative thread that will pay off with something, because right now I'm just like, what, they can't be like pushing this joke this far without some deeper meaning of it.
Well, what if it's that? What if the actual pushing of the joke. That because I've like just now I saw like somebody like ranting about this,
Mhm.
and that like the way they frame it is like, oh, they're the babies of
But they're
that.
unfertilized right now.
Yeah.
But then that's the other thing. Like they were really clear from the beginning. These are
Yeah, that it's unfertilized
unfertilized
eggs.
eggs.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm pretty
But he's
sure.
still eating the viable
Okay.
offspring that could
But-
lead
but-
to
but-
the survival
but
of the
he's-
race, though.
but he's
No, not survival of the race,
Of her
survival of
line, of
her
her-
line.
Yeah.
of her family. It's almost
Yeah.
like
Which is more important to her, right?
Well, obviously, it's important to her, but one.
and it's equal. Well, how important is Baby Yoda's nutrition? It clearly was not having.
Well, you saw that Mando had like a little Lunchables tray for
Yeah.
him in the
He didn't
episode.
want it.
And he didn't want that.
But
Like,
I mean,
how does Mando know the nutritional needs of?
I agree.
Baby Yoda?
yeah,
Like,
because he
Baby
eats
Yoda's
frogs.
clearly
He ate one of those
yeah.
spiders,
Exactly.
and I
He's
mean,
clearly a carnivore.
yeah.
he's clear. Yeah.
I mean,
So-
I gotta say, as soon as I saw the eggs, I was like, Baby Yoda's totally gonna go for them.
Yes.
So I mean, right from the very beginning, and then I was like,
And
as
he
soon as it
uses the
happened, I was like,
Force.
called it.
I like how he kind of uses the Force to pull them towards him. I'm like, oh, interesting.
know.
Questionable uses of the
I
Force.
know. And he kept just going up to the very end. Like he had that one like. hidden
How
up
did
his
he
sleeve.
steal that last one?
I don't know.
Use the
but
Force.
use the
He's
Force.
like, as Frog Lady's just like holding the thing. He's just like, oh, I already got
clever,
mine.
clever little ninja is what he is.
Oh, yeah.
Little ninja.
What was something? No, but I think it was also clever. Like again, it's a cave, more cave metaphors. But when it's the episode's clever. But then you have like the frog lady eggs that are kept in warmth and water
Mhm.
that are supposed to sustain
Mhm.
life that will positive life, so to speak. And then you have the cold eggs in the cold environment, the dark that then spring to life and bring chaos and destruction. It's kind of those two parallels, right, of the two different eggs that are serving two different functions that I think are really interesting, because that also frames Mando's state of mind with how Baby Yoda can go. Baby Yoda is either the warm eggs in the warm water that will keep going and be positive
Well, we
extension
don't
of his
know.
line.
We don't know if her line is a positive line.
There's framing here.
Yeah,
and
I
then
know there is, but we don't know yet.
We don't know. That's true. But then the cold, vicious, scary horror spiders that are going to end lives. It's like Baby Yoda's two paths that he can take. At least that's how I saw that framing of like those eggs, and it has to be intentional, because why would you have eggs and eggs?
And yet, Baby Yoda doesn't discriminate.
He does not.
Uh-huh.
Baby Yoda does not discriminate.
But he paid the price when he ate the evil eggs, though.
Did he?
Yeah, because they hatched and
I mean,
went for them.
they just
Yeah.
happened to hatch. Baby
It
Yoda
necessarily-
one egg.
Karma.
Right, but maybe
Instant
they would have
karma.
woken up. Well, yeah. I also think he might be 50 something years old or whatever, but we don't really understand. Like he has this bond with the Mandalorian, and he understands sometimes what the Mandalorian requires of him. But how
Mhm.
much does he really understand? Does he really understand that these eggs are the last chance for this woman
No.
to have her children? He doesn't.
No.
So he's just being a baby that likes eggs and sees the opportunity to eat them. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think there's anything inherently. I think they're going too far in the over-analysis. I mean, we'll see how it plays out, but I don't
Yeah.
think you need to read so much into the fact that he's just, eggs, yay, yum, let's eat them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saying that there's interesting perspectives about it.
Yeah, there's so many, because you can deconstruct. Yeah, you can deconstruct it so
You
many
can keep
ways. You can
meaning
slice
to
it.
anything. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another thing that I was thinking about, and actually I was thinking about it thanks to you, Mo, was the framing of how they use animals in nature, like in Mando. So I remember when we were talking about Crate Dragon, and
Yep.
they had to defeat him, and you brought the question that, well, the Crate Dragon was also a natural inhabitant, just like Tusken Raider, but why do we have to kill them? So I started thinking about that. Kudos. And it made me think how Mandalorian and Rebels treated the same topic completely differently.
Yeah.
Because in Rebels, it was always about that balance with nature and like not trying to conquer it, but like be in balance with it, especially like that I mean, not only the episodes with Bendu when Ezra and Kanan have to, tame the beasts that are around there. I forgot their names, but also that episode where they go to an axis and they have to. Uh, no, you haven't gotten there yet.
I know.
The Fernox or whatever they're called, and Ezra had to commune with the Force to get them to their side. So rebels always made a point to be like, hey, don't destroy them because they're part of nature. They're part of the living Force. So you have to be in balance with them. And now, obviously, there's the Force aspect to it that kind of maybe is the reason why it's different than in Mando. Since Mando, we don't have Force users yet in the show, but the Mando is all about, okay, let's destroy that natural other, like the crate dragon and now those spiders, which I thought was really interesting, especially since Filoni is involved here.
Yeah.
I wonder how much say he had saying like, oh, maybe we shouldn't kill the crate dragon, or maybe we shouldn't have killed. I don't know. I don't know if those were conversations that were had.
Well, it's something that at least popped into my mind, like, because that's why I asked, like, at the beginning if like the spiders were the same as in Rebels, because they actually in those they went out their way like to establish a relationship between spiders and like how. So it was interesting here. Is like, I mean, they did killed their fair share of spiders and Rebels, I believe. But even non-Force users, they prefer to use like the beacons to keep them at bay. So yeah, I feel like, I don't know if it's intentional just to use it as, the common enemy for everybody to get together against, because that's eventually that's what kind of happened. Like, oh, who Mando thought were gonna be the enemies ended up saving them at the end,
which is a payoff from Chapter 6.
Yeah.
Or what happens in The Prisoner.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, his good actions come back to,
haunt him positively, I guess.
Haunt him positively.
Which
was really cool.
Which could be a good narrative of setting up that Mando never had a moral compass except the code, and now Mando and Baby Yoda are both developing that code based on feedback. Like Baby Yoda is getting actual feedback from, oh, if I eat this X, spiders are gonna come out and eat me. And Mando is the other way around, is getting to know that, wait,
if I act like a decent person,
right? If I act selfless, ultimately it does give a reward towards me. It's like, karma. So maybe that's that could be the story, how to experiences build the moral compass.
I think there was something very interesting also about we get another mention of the New Republic, because they were members of the New Republic, but I think obviously they decided not to arrest him or anything because of his actions during The Prisoner, but at the same time Mando asked for help, and you would think that with the New Republic trying to establish more allies, realizing that this guy is not necessarily a bad guy, maybe there should have been more of an effort to like make an ally out of him.
Well, it was interesting. I don't know if you got to that point during the Geeky Waffle discussion, but Brian from Pink Milk made an interesting point that I hadn't thought of in that way. I'm still not sure if I 100% agree, but it was a very valid point in terms of how that scene of the X-Wings pulling him over, and now you can see where I'm getting at by using that verbiage. But it was a meta commentary, right, on like minorities and the authority and the police.
Like policing, right? Yeah, okay.
And they're profiling him, right? And they're assuming things, and it's like, oh, well, you're this Mandalorian or this criminal, and we're gonna profile you based on who we think you are. So that's why we're going. That's why we're going to not help you, type of thing. Which is an interesting way to look at it. I still don't. Again, I don't know if I agree, but like when you frame it that way, I think it's interesting to then look at how that extends to the New Republic as like, well, it's supposed to be this new government that is supposed to be the opposite of the Empire, and this positive government, but it's still plagued by these negative things that promote discrimination and injustice. and maybe that's why then it eventually fails and leads to the rise of the First Order.
But were they
Maybe.
being unjust in stopping him? I think they were supposed to stop anybody that had expired tags. I mean, as the episode is framed, at least.
Yes, that's why I don't
I mean, you would
necessarily
have
agree.
to, you would have to see it in context. Have some analytical data of how many people they're actually stopping. If
Yeah.
they're just stopped,
Exactly.
No,
Yeah. I think it's an interesting framing, and like I accepted to analyze it, but I don't think that's inherently what's happening in the scene because they weren't really gonna pull him over until they kind of saw that when he sent the
was
ping,
fleeing.
and then it's just like, wait, this is the ship from the thing. So that they did have reason then to go after him.
That can we just say that he's really good at lying at sometimes and
No, he's
really
terrible
terrible
at lying. He
at
was
it.
really
No,
bad at lying.
No, he's totally good at lying when it's convenient for him. Like you can keep the jetpack.
Right, good point.
Screw that. I'm not gonna take your life. Walk away.
Yeah.
So but this time when he's actually trying to be a smuggler and a bounty hunter that he's been for who know however many years and he can't even get away from like 2 X-Wings.
Well, I mean, let's be fair though. His ship isn't.
I know.
The most. It's not. You're not gonna mess around with the next one. Don't mess with my favorite ship.
Sorry.
And also a fun fact. I don't know if anyone noticed, but like Dave Filoni was Wolf, who reprising his role from Chapter 6. But I don't know if anyone noticed that his helmet had the logo of one of the clone troopers of the Wolf Battalion.
Oh, really? No, I didn't notice actually. That's really cool.
It is.
Yeah.
I saw it and I'm like, let's see what you did there, Filoni.
Details.
It's all in the details. But I think we should keep these episodes fairly brief. I don't know if there were any other points that we wanted to talk about to cap this discussion, or if we wanted to speculate a little bit about next episode. Any thoughts?
No. I just wanted to do a little detail because as we were watching the flight, me and my husband were like, Mando's actually a pretty decent flyer. His ship is not the best. And he was just like, if he would have had the Slave 2, he would have kicked their asses. So I just kind of wanted to. Well, Slave 1 is Django, isn't it? And Slave 2 is Boba. No?
Slave 1. Same ship.
My mistake. Sorry.
It's okay.
It's okay.
There is a Slave 2 in Legends, which is a piece of shit. But and I only recently learned about it on yesterday, because I was watching Star Wars Explained, had like their weekly Q&A video, and Alex was talking about Slave 2. So that's the only reason why I know it. So So don't worry.
Okay. There's always something new to learn.
Too many things.
Too many things. I know. But I don't really. Yeah, it's a good thing. I don't really think we should speculate that much. Because
I will speculate that Baby Yoda will eat at least one more egg before the end of this.
And Frog Lady will catch him.
I don't know. Maybe let's put that.
She catches him. Oh.
It's like stop.
Well, at least we know, because the trailers let us know that like she will meet her husband, because in the trailer you see her walking with a frog man.
Okay.
So, and now we know that like based on, we were speculating that the water planet was gonna be Camino or Mon Cala. Now we know that it's neither. No. It's just a new planet. Yep. And just like we thought this ice planet was gonna be Ilum.
Yeah.
It is not. So I kind of like that, but they're just no. Yeah. This is new stuff. This is new stuff. Don't worry about it.
I enjoy it a lot so far.
I want to say that for those that didn't saw the episode with subtitles, the ant, it's called Dr. Mandel.
Dr. Mandel.
That was just perfect. I was like,
which is a nod to Ant-Man, because the director of this episode was Peyton Reed, the director of Ant.
That.
Yep.
Oh,
there you go.
Awesome.
That's your fun fact to cap off the night.
Fun fact.
Fun fact.
That's so good. So I think we are done for today.
May the force be with you. That's my news.
And also with you.
That was great.
Yeah. Especially how skeptical he said it. He's like, oh, may the
force does the force exist? Like, what's happening?
I've heard you guys say this before, so here we go.
I'm just repeating it out of rote.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're done, guys.
Sign off.
Well, anyway, guys, we hope that you enjoyed our episode. Please leave your comments. Nobody's leaving comments. Follow us on Twitter, like, subscribe, and look forward to our regularly scheduled programming later on in the week. Okay? May the force be with you, everyone.
Good night.
And with good night.
Good night.